Hi guys. So as you all know, college is guaranteeing people nothing in today's world. Top schools are going to happily take your money, but they won't necessarily find you a job. Tuition and fees in America are getting very out of hand, and for many people it's not worth it. What if I told you there's another approach to college? Would you consider it? From this approach, I've obtained two diplomas from two countries, managed to keep living costs affordable while in school, and I had a very wonderful time, an unforgettable adventure that I'm not going to forget. And I think about it every day. So let's talk about it. I just want to make a disclaimer that I'm not recommending one way over the other for anyone. I just want to provide information that is useful and valuable to you, that is not commonly shared with you. You have the responsibility to do your own research to make an informed decision, and I just want to say, don't take my word for it about anything that I tell you. Just hear the information that I'm saying and consider on your own what you want to do. So, as you guys know, I did do my bachelor's degree here in China, and I had a fantastic experience despite the pandemic causing some challenges. I really learned a lot. I had an excellent time being with the faculty and experiencing what they had to teach me. But should anyone else do school in China, I think it's going to really depend on a few different things like your country of origin, how much you can afford to spend on the tuition, how much Chinese you can speak, what are your career goals, and if you are a very adventurous person or more risk averse, and whether or not you can stick with it, because many people start degrees, but not everyone can finish. So let's talk about your country of origin. So people from the Belt and Road countries like Chile, Egypt, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, and many others will have a big advantage in their home job markets with a degree in China, since their countries have well-established trade relationships with China. For Western countries such as the USA, Australia, the UK, they're not going to necessarily hold a Chinese degree at the same level that they would with an institution from their home country, and they might turn up their nose at schools they don't recognize. But if you have fluent Mandarin and proven skills and a good portfolio in your industry, then it might not matter. And I think that's the case for me. So there's a few different types of schools to consider here in China. The first type that's the most common is public universities. These are just regular Chinese schools. Everything's taught in Chinese. They vary quite a bit in ranking and in quality of education. And the second type, which I experienced, is a Chinese foreign joint venture university. Okay, that means a school outside of China collaborated with a school in China or a government organization to make a university. Some examples of these include my school, XJTLU, founded with the University of Liverpool, Duke Kunshan University, with Duke University from Durham, North Carolina, NYU Shanghai, okay, New York University, they have a campus in Shanghai. It's also quite excellent. Ningbo Nottingham University, which is the University of Nottingham from the UK. So if you are from a Western country, I really suggest if you choose a public university in China, you really need to choose something that's very high ranking, like one of the top 10 schools if you can, or a foreign joint venture university like I attended, because it will really make a difference in the quality of your education, and it will give you a experience on par with what you would expect from a university back home, because there's quite a bit of variance in the quality of experience that you could have at a public university here. Even the joint venture universities can be difficult sometimes in terms of enrollment, in terms of managing things with the faculty, with the service they provide, the dorms, all of that. But basically, you will have overall a more streamlined experience with either a really high ranked school or a joint venture university. But, you know, horror stories still happen. So don't expect it to all be perfect, and be sure you take off your rose colored glasses once in a while. Let's talk about pricing. So basically, public universities will not be expensive compared to American universities. I think the most expensive I've heard of a public university in China costing is like $7, $8, $9,000 a year, and that's at like the top, most prestigious school like Tsinghua or Peking. Um, and if you can get a CSC scholarship, then it will be covered. The cost of the tuition will be covered. They have different levels of CSC scholarships. I'm not the expert on that, but it's something that you should look into and apply for, because if you don't have parental support and you need your tuition covered, you want to have a living stipend, you want to have your rent covered as well, then that's something that you should apply for. So yeah, so there's different options. I want to talk a little bit about living expenses as a student in China. I have made a table here that shows 3 different cities: Shanghai, Hangzhou, where I live now, and Wuhan. So that's 3 levels of cities. Shanghai is a tier 1 city. That's like the most expensive, most wealthy city in China, so the cost will be a little bit higher. Hangzhou, also a fantastic city, is pretty mid-range in terms of cost of living and transportation and all those things. And then Wuhan will be on the low end. It's pretty cheap. It's quite affordable, but it might not have quite the same quality of experience for international students that a tier 1 or tier 2 city like Shanghai or Hangzhou might have. So it's definitely something to consider. That being said, you should choose a school based on the major you want to study. Ideally, not choose a school, then choose a major. I wanted to study product design since high school. Everyone told me studying design in China might not be the best option, since China had previously this reputation of being a country that makes copies of everything, you know, because it's true, they make like fake bags. Sometimes their cars look like other brands' cars, a little bit similar. And I was really interested in China because there's a lot of manufacturing going on here, and there's plenty of design activities and interesting manufacturing technology that's coming out. So I came to China, I studied design, and I proved them wrong by landing a good design job after school. So now I work as a furniture designer here in Hangzhou. My work is great, it's very fast paced. I like the company a lot, and I'm learning a lot about designing sofas for the US market, which is what my department focuses on. So the degree was very valuable, and some of us get to choose a major that really interests us, while others might have family members choose something for us, or select for ourselves what we think is going to bring stability in the future. I just want to say that Chinese universities and the degrees offer different benefits compared to schools in other countries, depending on the major. And it's really important to keep that in mind when you are selecting an institution to study in. A few majors of some friends that I have here in China, I know people who studied film, China studies, applied chemistry, data science, industrial design, actuarial science, and a really common major at XJTLU, my school, was business with a language. So they would study business and then they would study Chinese, usually is how it went. I really recommend learning Chinese before you start your degree if you can. I saw kids when I was studying in Beijing reach 0 to academic proficiency in about 3 semesters of intensive study. So if you want to be fluent in Chinese before you start your degree, go to a language program for a few semesters if you can. I recommend going to a school where not very much is in English, so you're kind of left to your own devices to figure things out, and your Chinese will improve very quickly that way. It's one of the best decisions that I made in my education journey to study 2 semesters of Chinese in Beijing before I started my degree program in Suzhou. And even though my degree did not require me to learn Mandarin, it really helped me to collaborate better with my classmates, build better relationships with the Chinese faculty, and live in China a lot more easily and enjoyably. So if you want to study in China, if you want to work in China a bit after your degree, if you want to do business in China, learn Chinese as quickly as you can and as young as you can. That's my advice to you. Some universities, public universities, they do offer English taught programs. However, I would consider these with caution. Ideally, if you are going into an English taught program, I think it's better to go into one of the foreign joint venture universities. But that's not realistic for everyone. So, but proceed with caution if you're going to a public university with an English taught program. That would be my advice. I will also say that if you want to take a program in Chinese, which some people do, and that's awesome, you want to be at least HSK 5 before you start the program. Maybe you come from a Chinese family background, you grew up speaking Chinese, you understand what people are saying. You still will want to get up to speed with academic reading and writing to keep up with your classmates. I also see some schools trying to get international students in with HSK 4. I think that's questionable since, like, even at HSK 5, you still have broken Chinese and you are constantly needing to check the dictionary, look things up, use translation software. So I really think that's the bare minimum you need to function. I think my Chinese was fine by the time I was considering schools, and I actually wanted to apply to Beijing Institute of Technology, but my dad told me I had to pick a Western institution, so I did. I was like, okay, I know I want to stay in China, and I know I want to study industrial design, so I looked online at different schools offering this major, and I landed on XJTLU, which promised a Chinese diploma, a British diploma. The campus looked really cool in the photos, and the faculty seemed very diverse and balanced, which was true and benefited me greatly throughout my studies. Another thing you really want to think about if you're going to come to school in China is how adventurous you are. My time here has been a roller coaster. The highs have been really high and the lows have been really low. And it's definitely true that China teaches you to be ready for anything. You never know what to expect. I started in 2019 and was on campus for 1 semester before my experience was interrupted by the pandemic, and I had to do some semesters online, and I even took a gap year and worked part-time in America before I could come back to campus and finish at the end of 2022. So that was difficult. I almost went to the UK to finish, but last minute there was a policy change and I was able to come back and get my student visa again. So not for the faint-hearted, guys. Even my adventurous American friends who were here before COVID, we had a really fun squad. I miss them. If you're watching this video, shout out, love you guys. They either graduated or they transferred to other schools to finish their degrees because it was kind of a nightmare situation with the pandemic. So yeah, so it really, even without a pandemic, I think sometimes it can be hard to stick with it. Chinese degrees are very easy to start, but can be hard to finish. You know, my school, a lot of the programs are quite intense, and especially for STEM majors, the Chinese education system is just built different. So be prepared for that if you want to study STEM. You know, be prepared to have like these really smart classmates that are like geniuses and can do math and physics way better than you when you start your degree. You know, that's the reality. and but you might have strengths in other areas, so that's fine. Um, also want to say about universities here that there is quite a lack of flexibility. In America, you kind of make your own schedule, make your own classes. However many credits you want to take, you can take that amount. Here, they assign your classes to you based on the academic year you are in your degree, and you kind of stick with the same people all throughout your degree in all of your classes, which is cool because you get to know your classmates really well, but it can also be really challenging if you are someone who prefers to do college at their own pace. So if you want to do college at your own pace, maybe you have to work like a demanding job while you're in college, then maybe it's better for you to do college in a country with a little bit more flexibility, like America, for example. The maximum enrollment period is between 6 to 8 years at most universities here, and if you go beyond that, you basically get to start over and your credits don't really transfer. So that's also something to keep in mind if you are considering doing school here. If you're just going to go through it straight in 4 years as fast as you can, then that's great. But basically, they don't have a lot of flexibility if you kind of want to do things according to your own plan. I want to say I also did a couple of semesters in America before I did college in China, and I found it quite a bit easier academically. I was getting straight A's my second semester, so I decided it was kind of too easy for me and I wanted more of a challenge. So that's one of the things that really drew me to China, and I found that. I definitely had that challenge. I got a run for my money my first semester. I ended up failing a couple tests and had to hire tutors and retake the classes to pass them, specifically engineering courses. So I'm really glad that I was able to get through that, but it was difficult, and you really want to make sure you are ready for the classes that you take. So, who is it for? It's for people who are brave and adventurous. It's for hustlers. It's for people who beat to their own drum and are open-minded. It's not for people who need to follow the crowd. It's not for people who are codependent. If you have high anxiety outside of your comfort zone, definitely might not be the best choice for you. Or if you require a lot of personal space, okay? The dorms here can be cramped. Sometimes you'll be in a two-person room. In China is kind of a push and shove sort of society. In America, people say, "Oh, excuse me," and they always stand at arm's length, where in China, it's so crowded. There's people everywhere. All the cities are busy and bustling. So if you can get used to that, great. If not, maybe don't come. Overall, though, like, it's just not for the faint-hearted, guys. Like, it's crazy sometimes. It was just such a roller coaster throughout the experience. So I'm glad I'm where I'm at now, and I've grown so much from the experience. But yeah, it was wild. Why is education in China so valuable? I will say again and again that China is the most interesting country in the world. Okay, like if I could go back and pick what country to study abroad in again, 100% it would still be China. It worked so well for me. I learned the language really quickly, and I loved the challenge of it all, learning the language, getting used to life here. Stuff here moves so quickly, and you learn to be quick too, okay? Whether in school, for me now in work, or in life, you just learn to move quickly, make decisions fast, and organize your life in a way that will allow you to progress. So for me, I had a westernized education experience while also having exposure to Chinese factories, industry activity, and hands-on learning. Okay, my faculty at my school was very diverse. Some of the professors were Chinese, about half, and then the rest were from other countries. Like we had people from Mexico, South America, the UK, Europe, Russia, and I really thrived in that diverse teaching environment. I just enjoyed that so much, and I, I recommend it to anyone who wants to study industrial design, because now industrial design is sort of a negative growth industry in Western countries. A lot of companies have hiring freezes. There's not many factories, but here there's just so much going on, and it's so fun and fascinating to work in product development. So I am just thriving. So an important question to consider is like, do we go to college for the piece of paper, or is it actually about the learning? What about your college degree is going to prepare you for the next phase in life? Okay, and most importantly, how are you going to avoid getting stuck after you've graduated? Because that's happening to a lot of people these days. It's happening to people a lot here in China, it's happening to people in America, and I think the reality is that your education is not everything. It's also about what kind of experiences are you pursuing outside of school. Okay, are you working a part-time job? Are you getting that real life experience? Did you work part-time jobs in high school? That was really valuable learning and growing experience for me. And do you appreciate the value of work, the value of money? All of these things are very important things to consider as well. Like, are you someone who just kind of coasted through college? Your parents give you a stipend, you live your comfortable life, you go out to play with your friends, and then you just go home and sleep? Or are you the person who had to struggle to earn their own living expenses and gain that experience and appreciation for the value of what it means to earn money? I also think it's really important to pursue internships during your degree. Like, do everything you can to get as much experience as you possibly can before you graduate, and meet all the right people. Make friends with teachers outside of your department. Be really close with your professors, and take them to coffee when you can. I went to have drinks with my professor this weekend, and it was awesome. And I go with this particular professor about once a year, and it's just a very valuable relationship that really has helped me in my career and given me a lot of important advice and insight. So I think no matter what you do, what you study, you want to do everything you can to mix up your experience and give your background a lot of variety, meet the right people, and work hard. And even in a tough job market, you'll still differentiate yourself and have work opportunities after college. So really consider that. China is a very exciting but fast-paced place to work. My job is very demanding. They have really high expectations for output in short time frames. From my school, many people ended up working in top companies like Alibaba, Huawei, Deloitte, Amazon, AMD, Apple, and others. Some of them went right after they finished their degree there. Others, maybe they had some other work experience first, or they did a master's degree. But I don't regret going to that school. It was a good school, XJTLU. So look into it if you're interested. You can drop some questions in the comments and I'll be happy to answer those. So now I'm graduated. I have the British and Chinese diplomas. I'm on my second job since graduating. It's very challenging and fast-paced. I'm learning and growing a ton. I'm super glad I stayed in China as long as I did, because it's really solidified my language ability. And a mistake that I see a lot of people make is that they don't really stay long enough. They study for a semester or a year, and they never leave their honeymoon phase with China. And their Chinese never really progresses past the level of just sort of being a party trick. So really, if you want to, if you're serious about learning Mandarin, if you're serious about having a career related to China, I think it's valuable to spend a little bit more time here. And if you can, pursue an actual degree program in the country. Am I going to stay in China forever? Who knows? I have no solid plan. I think it's going to be fine for the next few years at least, and I'm very satisfied with my current job, so we'll see. But overall, I am very happy with my decision to study here. It worked out great for me, and I think it will continue to be a really viable option for those who want an interesting education experience. So let me know what you think. And another link I want to provide you guys is the China Liu Xuesheng subreddit page. That's the subreddit for international students in China. If you have questions about admissions, if you have questions about a specific school in China, or like dorms, or living as a student, or if you have any stories you want to share, please by all means post on that subreddit and let me know. Yeah. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. I'm so grateful for this nice, relaxing time I've had to share some experiences with you in this lovely park in Hangzhou. And I hope you'll stay tuned for the next video. Drop a like and subscribe. I will be trying to post every week. Thanks, guys.